Okay, we're live.
Good evening and welcome to the After Hours Show. My name's Joe in Norway. I'll be your cook this evening, and I'm joined by Ann Lee, a retired college professor and a community member at the Daily Coast. They're a member of the National Council of Independent Scholars and is a contributor to the book, The Political Economy of Art, Making the Nation of Culture. Evening, Ann.
Hey, Joe. Sorry for the tardiness.
No worries. Complete professionalship we're running here. Getting
We're
better
so
every week.
professional.
Every week.
All we actually need a director, producer, and engineer,
Yeah,
whatever.
if only. Well, it's we
What's for
were
supper?
we were up over our knees in snow the past couple weeks. We had about 3 feet, I guess, a little over a meter, around a meter, and I thought we were going to be snowed in for the whole time. And I've just been thinking about how damn far away I am from Southeast Asia and those very, very comfortable, sweltering, overly humid days and nights. So I was thinking of Singapore and
Oh.
noodles and Singaporean noodles and that whole story about Singaporean noodles and how they're actually not really Singaporean noodles. And we've got the British to blame. I mean, to thank for that, blame. Thank you again. British, apparently, Singapore noodles you don't really find. Now you can. You don't find in Singapore itself.
No.
They're actually from Hong Kong and they're Cantonese, which
Yep.
basically the cooks in Hong Kong had excess amounts of curry powder thanks to the British colonial adventure. And they started stir frying these noodles. It's basically a quick, uh, poor people's dish. It's very quick and easy to make and cheap ingredients. It's basically rice vermicelli, some vegetables, egg, and char siu, uh, barbecued pork, uh, or maybe some strips of baked tofu. I've got the marinated pressed tofu here. So instead of we're going to keep it kosher and 100% vegetarian. So we're going to go with the, the baked tofu. I'll make this in another episode down the line when I can get a hold of, or maybe I'll have to make my own tofu. It's getting, we're almost getting charged by the hectokilo now for tofu. Kind of crazy.
Indeed.
And I'm afraid, Anna, if Anna's in the house, mushrooms are making a comeback. Just a brief. Have some dried choc cantarelle, which are winter chanterelle mushrooms. Some of the most delicate, lovely taste. I've reconstituted them in water. They're nice little rubbery mushroom taste. So the tofu's been soaked in a instead of 5-spice powder, it's 2-spice powder. I was too tired to remember what the other spices were and too lazy to look up on the internet, and I ended up just going with star anise, and the other one. I'm losing my English. The stick. Cinnamon. Cinnamon, that's it. And I threw some ginger in there. So cinnamon, star anise, and ginger.
All right.
Yeah. So then I'll stir fry that with some garlic, ginger. I'll matchstick guys the celery and carrots and the green onions. And I was fully thinking that we'd be snowed in, so I was going to do a stir fry outside because it's the perfect climate to be stir frying in minus 12 degrees C. But
Yeah.
the gods have been kind to us, and we're totally melted, mostly melted, hovering around zero. Uh, Torrential rains, though, out there. Thankfully, we're not deep frying because that would be a major issue. I'd need some help with umbrellas over the walk if we were deep frying tonight. But I'll do the prep work here, and then we'll head outside to do the quick stir fry in the torrential rain.
Cool.
Oh, just a quick note on the bihun or the rice vermicelli. You can
Nice.
soak it in water. If it's hot water, it'll be done in about 5 minutes, or you can just leave it for an hour or whatever. And um, just use some medium water here. The moisture from the soaked noodles and then the heat from the hot wok will quickly cook them, so that you don't need to cook them longer than that. And there's that. I shall commence to chopping up some vegetables. I assume it's been a crazy week again.
Very crazy week. Uh, where to begin? Well, there was a terrorist attack. I think we can agree that it was a terrorist attack on National Guards people. Um, they were very careful about identifying who the victims were, and apparently it is a male and a female. And I think the female is going to pass away. She got hit in the head.
She passed away. Just read a
Yeah.
report. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they said this it wasn't it's really critical, super critical, whatever, terminal. Um, the guy got really close, and there's probably real video of it somewhere, but I haven't seen any of it. So that happened. It had all these other implications for the week, though, for the coming week, because uh, Trump decided that not only would he try to make hay out of the fact that they've identified the shooter, he's an Afghan, but he was supposedly fully vetted and approved for asylum this year under the Trump administration. Someone asked Trump about it, and he got really mad and called the reporter stupid uh, today or yesterday. And he's been doing that to mainly female reporters. There's a whole misogyny thing going on with Trump, and where he called one a piggy last week, and it's a little unhinged, needless to say. And for example, was it today or yesterday when he called the one reporter stupid? Um, he uh, he he sent out a one of his little postings that blamed the auto pen for Biden wasn't even at fault. It was the auto pen that did it, and so I tried to make a little hilarity with it, comparing it
Wait,
to Spartacus. But anyway,
wait a
so
minute.
I
I
did.
thought he didn't use it, rely on an auto pen.
Oh, he does. He does actually, but he likes to pretend he doesn't. So,
Um,
and Biden, he's tried to identify with the auto pen because he thinks he's funny. This is all shtick for Trump. Anyway, the result is because he misidentified, um, because he got asked the question by the reporter, he shifted to try to deflect from it like he usually does. And then he started talking about Somalis in the United States, which were totally unrelated, but it was pretty clear he wanted to fold all brown people together. And so then he launched on a little thing where he accused, and there was a case of a Somali fraud action that came out of Minneapolis. And it's about $250 million fraud, I think. The issue is that it's not fully resolved, and there's some other issues, but um, and Trump didn't really do a good job of trying to link it to Al Qaeda, which ultimately this goes to Al Qaeda or ISIS, and he's trying to make the Somalis the domestic terrorists. And if and the reason why he's doing that is purely political in the sense that the governor of Minnesota, ran for vice president, and there have been two kind of interesting and problematic assassinations that have occurred in the state of Minnesota, and they're trying to, combine all those things so that somehow brown people have done all this, and so that's happened. Very weird though that because we know just a fact. In March of 2025, they decided to do indiscriminate bombing and other things in Somalia. So Somalia is on the table for some kind of more increased
mm,
military action, and which is going to piss off the MAGAs because they're it's America first, blah blah blah, isolationism, and so uh, apparently we're probably going to bomb Somalia at some point. And similarly, we've been and nobody got killed in the last couple of days. Got bombed by U.S. forces in the Caribbean, so that's a good thing. So we're only up to 80 something people killed in extrajudicial judicial killing. And the interesting thing related to that is that uh, the six U.S. senators who decided that they would comment. These were all veterans or former national security folks who are senators. And Mark Kelly was more prominent among them. But anyway, and Trump actually, sort of singled him out. But needless to say, the point was that they were saying that just a standard thing. It's constitutional. It's just the way our particular government does this. No other governments don't quite do that. That is that you can refuse an unlawful order, and they're just reminding in general, this is kind of our military is supposed to work that way. And the reason why they were doing it, of course, is because of these extrajudicial killings where they were just bombing people on boats. And there is some evidence. Now, I don't know if it's this is going to take a lot of legal work or whatever, but apparently there was a, shoot to kill order coming from the Department of War. Uh, and that's why they brought up the illegal orders thing, because, it was pretty clear they knew what they were doing when they decided to kill all these people with very scant evidence. There is no evidence yet has been proven that there were drugs or that there were members of Trente de whatever it was, the
yeah,
the
well,
Venezuela, yeah,
yeah, what?
the Venezuelan cartel or whatever. None of this has been made available, and so it's just they're getting away with stuff, and they need to be accountable. And it's pretty clear that the Senate is sort of onto this, and they know this. This is
Mm,
there's a lot of things that actually are known but aren't fully available. Much uh, similar to the Jeffrey Epstein thing, and as we know, all of this is deflecting from Epstein. I mean, it
Mm.
is. He talks about money laundering by Somalis uh, because he doesn't want to talk about Epstein money laundering, which is there. There's a whole J.P. Morgan, et cetera, thing that if the if the Congress was doing its job, they would sort of look into this because it's a pretty serious matter. It resembles, in fact, all of the things that were looked at, the kinds of things that were looked at in the prior impeachments. So impeachment 3 is probably going to happen. Some impeachment action is going to happen. Now, the shape of it, whether it's abuse of power, uh, violation of the emoluments clause, because pretty clear he's making money off of a lot of this stuff. All that's happening. It's all happening. And yet we have, real history, two people unfortunately getting killed, and it's just all of these things are coming up pretty much at the same time. Let me parallel that by saying, speaking of corruption, the head of the presidential office, Andriy, now I've had a little brain fart. Yarmak. He's essentially the de facto second in command to Zelensky, resigned today because there are two anti-corruption entities in Ukraine, and one of them decided they would raid Yarmak's apartment. So that was happening in the morning, and a couple hours later, then Yarmak resigns. Now, it all sounds like there's this huge corruption thing. Needless to say, a couple of people have been kicked out of the government, and there is something going on that relates to the energy industries. And I think it was bribes or kickbacks or something. And Yarmak has actually not been charged. He's not even part of, it's unclear whether he's even part of the investigation. But I think the fact that they're putting more pressure on him and getting him out of there is symptomatic of some other matters, which have to do with the ceasefire and the end of the idiotic war. Because, of course, the Russians the Russians presented a plan. The United States signed off on it, essentially signed off on it, and in fact presented it as their own, which was really stupid relative to the actual negotiations that are occurring in Geneva or wherever it is. And so the reality is that there may have been some pressure placed getting Yarmak to resign is another way of putting pressure on Zelensky to cave to the Russian demands. And Zelensky, trying to get ahead of this, and he's having a meeting to, replace Yarmak tomorrow. And Zelensky decided to reiterate that constitutionally, the Russians are complaining that he should have been kicked out of the government because that Zelensky should have been kicked out of the government because it's past the time, they've exceeded the time for the normal schedule for elections. But of course, it's a national emergency. Needless to say, they got invaded. Of course, the Russians don't see it as invasion, right? They don't even see it as a war. It's a special military operation. It's a police action. It's like sending ICE out to do something. So anyway, the point being is that they want the Ukrainians to capitulate, and this is just another thing. And they want a whole bunch more land. And they want the complete Donbass. That is, and that's another 1 or 2% of total land area of Ukraine, and they're not going to get it, mainly because constitutionally, Zelensky can't do anything about, constitutionally they can't give away land. I mean, there's just a thing about it. It's real absolute, and as we've said, this war can end immediately if Russia will just get the hell out of the country. So that's happening. Needless to say, there were continuing drone and missile strikes. Uh, it's at kind of at the same level. We're approaching the cold season, so it's going to slow down a bit, but it's only going to change certain types of activities. And there were more drone strikes on both directions. There's other hanky panky going on, so it is a very strange set of things going on. Stuff's happening in Estonia. There's like a lot of things that are going on in parallel that have to do with Poland and a bunch of other things that impinge on this in the sense of uh, European money being supporting Ukraine, and whether and the terms of any kind of deal, quote unquote, is of course whether they're going to stop fighting, whether there's whether or not there's going to be European support for Ukraine, whether Article 5 is going to kick in, or whether NATO, there's going to be some NATO thing, and it's unclear what's going to go on. And it's certainly the NATO and the EU are trying to figure out what to do about this. So there's that, and there's a lot of hope, and I think it's just hope. It's not a reality that the Russian economy is going to collapse. Now that it's it's pretty much like expecting the American economy to collapse. It won't collapse. It'll just get crummier. They'll they have problems with gas lines. There's power outages. Similarly, they're the same thing because we're entering cold season. That's happening in Ukraine. So all that is happening. Crazy things are happening. Things are still getting hit. A ship got hit in a Russian port. It was an amphibious assault ship got blown up. The Ukrainians blew up a. I think they did it mainly because it was symbolic, because the damn thing was deactivated or taken out of service. In fact, they're probably going to take it apart. Something very similar to what the United States did with the 747, and that is converted into one big laser. And they converted two IL-76s to do this as research platforms. But when you look at the history of these planes, they pretty much gave up on it, pretty much like the U.S. gave up on it. It's really hard to have a really powerful laser and to hit things accurately in the sky. And they spent a lot of time and money on both in the U.S. and in Russia on this technology. Not quite there yet. I mean, what has been successful is ground lasers. The British have one now. I think that's strong enough to knock things down. And I think there are some actually field tests going on for that people aren't talking about, that of these lasers, ground lasers that can hit drones and missiles. So that's going on. Needless to say, we are all very busy with these matters and thinking about in terms of the military. And of course, the casualties continue to mount up. So that's just how we've ended the week. We began the week with
before you get there, hold on.
Go ahead.
Speaking of cold weather, I got to get my ass outside and start warming up to the wok burner. Got
Fire it up.
everything prepped here. We've got our matchstick carrots and celery. We're going to stir fry these first, then throw in the peppers, followed by the garlic and ginger. Don't want to do that first because I'll burn the hell out of it. And then we'll throw in our the rest of the vegetables. Set that to the side. We'll fry up. The trick with this dish is that vermicelli is a pain. It's probably the biggest pain in the noodle to cook. It's hard to toss it and get the sauce integrated to all the noodles, because it'll then tend to clump up, and if it's overcooked, then it'll get mushy. So you got to And you don't want to put too much oil in.
Yes.
So I'm going to do, I have the luxury of having several wok pans. So we're going to use one wok for this, another wok for this, and then blend them in the, at the end.
It is an
We're
art.
missing one thing. Hold on a minute. Let me run. How could I have
You got all,
forgotten?
you got all
There,
your
a
condiments out there? Oh, there we
garnish.
go. Yeah,
Cilantro. So,
absolutely.
so we're going along with the matchstick theme here. So for the coriander, you could just break it like so.
Yeah, bruise it, It's like basil or
Well,
basil.
so the stems are very tasty. So don't throw out your stems. You can cook them. Throw them in soups and stocks and things like that.
Absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
We'll put those there. They look beautiful. My apologies to Walter. Oh,
Cilantro's getting pretty pricey. $6 a pound, I think. I
oh,
bought some yesterday, day before yesterday. It's at my local Asian market there, $6 a pound, which is a little on the high side, needless to say. Anyway,
a lot of our vegetables are changing over to getting priced by the hecto kilo instead of the
oh,
kilo now. Brutal.
oh,
Oh, brutal.
it is brutal. There's anyway. All right, have fun.
I hope you won't. I won't lose you. I should be off the Wi-Fi.
Okie
And
dokie.
our oh crap, my tripod.
Ah, dark.
Oh, our game, behind showcase number 1, our kitchen. There we go. But I don't have anything to put my stand on. One moment.
Well, while you're doing that,
Take your time. I got a little bit of a setup still to do.
okay. Other stuff. We're just reminding people of things. You need to be reminded that 97 or 94 million pounds of food aid got canceled by Trump, aside from the 500 plus thousand people who have died because of the USAID cutbacks. I mean, people don't think about that, but mass murder has actually occurred already, or manslaughter of some kind. It's clearly a problem, and even worse, of course, because some of it was done by the now defunct Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, which really wasn't about efficiency. It was about theft, about stealing your data, my data, social security numbers and government ID stuff. And they're still working on doing that. The latest example of that is that they're going to try and seize or have access to every state's Department of Motor Vehicle records. And lest you think that's unimportant, it really actually is very important, because a lot of other kind of ID data is correlated with your DMV stuff. So this is just part of that same thing that they're doing to us. And so that's just happened. So we had illegal orders. Illegal orders, not obeying illegal orders is not disobedience. And Trump's reaction to that, of course, the interesting part of the story is that Trump threatened the senators with charged them. He claimed that it was sedition and that they should be executed. And in one posting, he said they should be hung, which gets to a whole other set of cross references back to January 6th, which is quite amusing in that sense, problematic in another. And of course, all the senators told them to pound sand. That this is just perfectly. They essentially said, bring it on if you're going to do it. All these sort of empty threats that Trump can make. So anyway, the Constitution is still in place as of today, but everything leading up to this is all about constitutional matters. As I said with the Ukrainians, they have a constitution too, and they're actually trying to hold to it. And it's not a problematic constitution at all. It just simply, there's some pretty clear things. We're not going to give up any land. It's just the Constitution says I can't do it. And in fact, I think they have to do something, a constitutional thing to give up land. So that's another problem. Um, I think what's more amazing is the negotiators, like Witkoff, who has actually Russian mob ties, and he's just a real estate guy. He has no experience in diplomacy or policy or anything. He's just a buddy of Trump's, but he's the lead guy on the negotiations, and he came back essentially with a 28 point thing that was written by the Russians, and so he sort of, within the context of Marco Rubio and a bunch of other things, they were sort of lazy or stupid or something, and they essentially presented a significant amount of those points as the American position, which was totally false. But they presented it to the Ukrainians as if it were the United States position. Anyway, it's already been whittled down to 23 points, I think. I think actually even less. But some of the points are just insane. I mean, they're essentially the same demands that were made 3 years ago during the invasion. That it's a, with all due respect, it's a very Russian style of negotiating. It's where you don't really give up anything. You just you try. It's a long, you're looking at in the long run. It's a long game where they expect you to ultimately capitulate. That they won't capitulate, or at least they will present that they won't capitulate. It's very sad to say Russian. On the other hand,
reminds me a little bit of the Israelis.
Oh, indeed, indeed. It's a very hard-nosed way of negotiating, but it is a style, and they have done this all since the Cold War. It's very well. It is a style. If you go to to books on texts on negotiation theory, there is a little place for Soviet-style negotiating. And they've done it, and they're very consistent about it, and so that's what the Russians are doing. They seem to think that it's just simply Ukraine is going to give up its language, because that's part of the thing of their demands. That there's just all kinds of crazy stuff that, as though they were going to wipe out Ukrainian culture at the same time, which is very reminiscent, with all due respect, to World War II. Yeah, it ended similar to Israel Palestine. That is, sovereignty and the right to exist has sort of gone out the window in these demands. Anyway, the point is that
someone was joking the other day that they were given, Europe was given their Sykes-Picot agreement.
Essentially, that's what they've been doing. It's just amazing that we're sort of back to the early 20th century, and in terms of styles of negotiating. Let's see.
All right, how's my setup look here? You got to see everything okay?
Yes, looks fine. Looks fine.
Okay, we got our prep here, mise en place, noodles, veggies, wok, burner, water, high-powered burner.
Think of it.
180,000 BTUs.
Hot.
This is
look at that.
An average home gas stove will be about 2,500 BTUs to 5,000. A Western restaurant burner will be about 8,500 to 10,000. And these ones are jet engines, 180,000 BTU.
Yeah. And, it's not simply about authenticity. It actually has a function. I mean, it really is important to have it that hot.
Quick.
Could use some of that here. It's getting cold here. Anyway.
As you were saying.
Well, international stuff is pretty much the same. Russia's on the cusp of some kind of economic problem. It's very unclear whether it's going to be. They're in stagflation. They're definitely in stagflation now. I think everyone can agree with that, which is very similar to half of the states in the United States are in some kind of quasi either stagflation or recessionary thing at the state level. Now, nationally, we're not quite there yet, but it's probably going to veer in that direction after the turn of the year when Trump has the option to get rid of or term limit the current the current chair of the Federal Reserve. But anyway, and mainly because he gets fixated on these things. He really does want to get rid of Powell, and so it's going to happen. All right. We discovered this past week, or we were reminded that Trump's name is actually mentioned 1,600 times, that he spent $1 million in overtime to get 1,000 FBI agents to pore over the Epstein files to figure out where Trump was mentioned and to redact him and probably, and we're guessing, but there have been some comments about this, at least 20 other people who are very prominent, and try and redact their names as well. So whatever comes out from the Epstein file stuff is probably going to be highly redacted. Of course, there are enough people in the FBI, people somewhere, to leak information. So I think it's going to be much uglier than that. On the other hand, that didn't happen during the first impeachment, and where some classified information needed to be revealed to show hanky-panky going on. So there was that. Needless to say, Trump is unhinged. I mean, it's very clear that panic has set in. The fact that he is, he says crazy and stupid things is, that's normal on the one hand. On the other hand, he's just saying stuff he really shouldn't say. And on the other hand, he's quite open about his craziness. So we're kind of there. And with all due respect, we've had the first couple of cases of the latest, it's not COVID, it's something different than COVID. The bird flu, it's what, H5N1 or N5 or whatever it is. I think they've had the first case of it. Now, that may not mean anything relative to the greater picture, and we don't have a pandemic yet. But recall that that's exactly what the issue was when COVID started. It was actually, there weren't a lot of, events, and they actually figured out sort of patient zero on the matter. So I don't know. With respect, we hope that that's just not going to repeat itself, because obviously the Trump administration is totally incompetent and on these matters, and anywhere between 50 and 100,000 Americans, or maybe even 1 million, because you have to figure out, from a public health point of view, whether people died from pre-existing conditions or some other immune, deficiency or whatever. But the fact is, a lot more people died, and it was more people who died in a flu season, in the flu season context. It was like, way over that. So it wasn't just quote unquote normal seasonal kind of deaths, in fact. And aside from the fact that bodies started piling up, that stuff happens, and it's sad to see that happen. But that's hopefully it's not going to happen. And of course, in the midst of all this, that many things got cut back. CDC, NIH, all kinds of health things have gotten screwed. And then, of course, the current issue of trying to, it's their little shibboleth. They voted 50 to 60 times to try and get rid of the Affordable Care Act because they don't like poor people, and the fact that they tried to call it Obamacare, it actually made it more popular, and they're sort of chafing. they still want to get rid of it, and so that's happening. Other monkey business that has been occurring is
This is
in the
exactly what I'm talking about. Look at that. Damn it.
oh there we
Sticking
go.
all it's sticky mess. Ow.
Yeah, maybe maybe it should have been drier before it
Yeah, it
whatever.
was too wet. It's too wet.
Got to work it. There we go. Gonna work it. So, oh man,
Oh, I just
and
seasoned it so nicely. Oh man, I could draw more.
it's still tasty even if it's mushy. It's very tasty. I mean, you've got a really good mix of things there. I will let you continue to chow
There,
the food there.
and we're finished. Here we go.
There we go. Speaking of comfort food, my recollections of this dish are that it's either a little oily or a little mushy.
Mm.
Um, and the ones that I get from the local takeout are pretty much the same way, and they call it in my little area lo mein, and they refer to it in some other way. I can't remember that it's not Hong Kong, but it's something else they claim, and it's not really. That they're using the same damn equipment, whatever.
There we go.
Now
Not
I'm
too
hungry
greasy,
again.
but there we go.
See, I don't mind it greasy. Usually the condiment that I remember, the condiment of choice when I was a kid was to put vinegar on it to uh, to
Yeah,
cut some of that.
so with the chilies.
Yes, nice.
Yeah, so I didn't have time, but I had green chilies that I was going to pickle, but we'll do it another time. Yeah, so normally uh, your noodle dishes in Asia will come with condiments at the table, and you can choose what you want, whether it's pickled chilies or sweet chili or chili crisp oil or all manner of things to cut fat or add salt or umami, the
Yes.
sacred MSG.
Oh,
James C, I got some MSG. I snuck some MSG in there earlier in the tofu soaking marinating process. You're welcome.
there we go. Oh man.
You got more to talk about. I'll just I guess clean up my
Where
mess.
Oh gosh, we've been moving along in time here. My yammering has
Unless
gone
you're
on. We got to
finished.
do talk about schedules, even though we started a little late. Okay. Later tonight, in about a little over half an hour, I am going to show. Hopefully, the technology will all be fine, and the particular print looks like a good one, the available one. For Master and Commander, the movie Master and Commander, and sort of it is a movie featuring Russell Crowe, among others, and it is a fun little movie, and uh, uh, Lucky Jack Aubrey is the hero of this. It's it is a parallel text or a post text of the C.S. Forster Horatio Hornblower story. So it has a lot of other things going on here. There are cross references to the Forster films. There's if you listen carefully, or if you look at uh, the transcript text, you actually learn a lot of nautical terms in the movie. But anyway, we digress. So that's at 8:30. It's a 2-hour film, so we'll go to 10. Travis is going to do Poker Face next week, or so we will do other things, and John will be back with Night Gallery at 8:30. Susanna, what are we going to do on Saturday?
I think, Sandley. So Saturday, I'm going to start Saturday Night Theater at 6:45 Eastern Time. I have the film I'm going to show. I have a beautiful Blu-ray print of the 1959 classic Anatomy of a Murder, which starred James Stewart, George C. Scott, Lee Remick, and Ben Gazzara. And it is based on a real murder trial from 1952. It's directed by Otto Preminger, with a music score by Duke Ellington. And this movie was up for many, many Academy Awards. Unfortunately for it, it was against Ben-Hur, which stole everything that year. But the 14-minute documentary beforehand is really going to help everyone enjoy the film even more. So I hope you can join me. Thanks.
Yeah, I believe the original crime was committed in the Upper Peninsula in Michigan.
Cool.
Yes, exactly, Bruce. Thanks. Yeah.
All right. We haven't decided what to do on Sunday in place of Star Trek: The Next Generation. If no one comes up with something, I will come up with something. Hopefully that will be useful and amusing, but I will announce that in Discord. We have stopped doing weekly marks on the weekends, and I do on Wednesday at office hour, and do some preliminaries that are available on the YouTube site for you to stare at. For example, this last week I did 2 hours on on subsumption and space stuff. So I hope you'll find that at least somewhat interesting, and perhaps more concentrated on what we're going to do. Lane, is Lane here?
Before Lane's Soul Social, there's a Class Unity. I guess we can probably stream that one as well.
Yes, Class Unity at 2:00 Eastern Time. And they're doing oligarchy for several weeks, and the readings are pretty interesting. And you just have to go to the Class Unity site, and there's all kinds of links, etc. And we'll parallel that over in Discord. So that's at 2:00, and it probably will go for 2 hours or so. So by the time it ends, we will be at 5:00, and something will get shown. I don't mean to be so vague about it. There's actually a couple of really interesting things that I might show. So tune in and keep track of Discord. I think that's what else are we doing? As I said, Wednesdays at 6:00 is my office hours, Wednesday office hours, that will essentially have a variety of texts. And we've been looking at subsumption. And I know that sounds like a technical term, but it really does describe how we, value things ultimately, and how we operate in terms of a subjectivity that opens itself to radical politics. And so that I will just say that it's a kind of general introduction to what I'm going to fiddle around with on Wednesdays. And partially it's done so that my schedule is a little better adjusted. And I think I can actually focus the stuff a little better with a short presentation on Wednesday with some other things presented, and you can just pick that out of Discord. Please come to our Discord site. The autonomouscollective.net will help get you there. And so there's that. On Sunday evening, I don't know if Lane wants to tell us about what he's going to do. Lane? Guess not.
He said in the chat. He said in the chat that he's unable to speak. Just so you know.
Oh, all righty. We hope that we will have something. Anyway, it is sort of a special weekend. It is being Thanksgiving, and you may or may not be, suffering from all that L-tryptophan. So I think we're close to the end now.
I'll just talk about the dish again. So I've made closer to Singaporean noodles instead of the Singapore noodles you find in traditional Chinese Western restaurant menus. It's basically just soy sauce noodles, stir fried with vegetables. We got baked tofu, our lovely turak cantarelle or winter chanterelle, the notoriously difficult to handle rice vermicelli, and we got cilantro and celery and carrots and lovely thing. 2 spice powder as well. So there we go. Next time I might try curry powder. Have to admit, not a fan.
This particular dish is really one of my favorite childhood comfort food things. I'm hungry. Anyway,
I think when we were in Singapore, I think you could get it for about $1, maybe $1.20 or 10.
Yeah.
So it's like one of the most affordable dishes.
It's a standard. All righty. Time to apologize. We'll try and do better next time. See ya.
Toodles. And cut the feed.